minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome into it. Happy Monday. We got a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a fun one. Phil Kerp, an American Commitment. He'll be joining us at the bottom of the hour. We'll chat with him. Also, we have plenty to get to. Donald Trump making some big announcements during a roundtable discussion at the White House today, discussing tariffs, discussing the revenue, discussing farming and the ag industry. That'll be a fun one. Plus, we got a heck of a lot more. Make sure to like it out, share it out, leave that comment, break the algorithm. Let's do this thing for a Monday. Hang tight.
30 seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Why, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. Hey, it is a Monday. Greatest day of the entire week. We are setting that tone. We're going to carpe diem all over this place, and boy, is there plenty to talk about. The weekend shenanigans. The Trump administration kicking off a whole new meeting right out of the gate this week, and we'll cover all of it. Welcome into the show. It's the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas, doing our thing like we do every single day here on the program as we continue to
do it live
every single day. Phil Kerpen, American Commitment. He'll be joining us at the bottom of the hour. AmericanCommitment.com is where you can find all of their information. I hope you had a great weekend. We are now counting down the weeks or the days, I guess, until the Christmas celebration. Little Voice of Reason, man, by far, this is her favorite holiday of the entire year. She has, now that we've given her a phone, which might have been a bad idea, we gave her one. I did not want to give her one, but it's a used phone. It's got limited capability, but it pretty much has like 5 contacts in it, and mom and dad are about the only ones that she has in there to talk to, and a couple of her friends. But nonetheless, she has the ability to create events on a calendar. She has now created an event on my calendar that she has shared with us for every single day for the countdown for Christmas. So she is ready. She's excited. So I guess here we are. We'll make it happen. Why not, man? 'Tis the season, so I'm excited about that. All right, we got a lot to get to today for sure. First and foremost, I was not aware. I was watching actually just as we came into the intro of the show. I thought this might not be real news, but according to CNBC, apparently it's very real. And you got to go back to asking yourself the question, what is the role of government? And to me, we've said it before, there's really about 3 or 4 deals or 3 or 4 responsibilities the federal government's supposed to have. And that is for the military and national defense, that is for foreign policy and immigration, and that is for regulating lightly interstate commerce between states to make sure there are no monopolies in particular industries. That's about it. You got Article 1 that gives the list of what Congress is supposed to do, and it gives them the ability to print money and, that sort of thing. But I mean, for the real roles of government, what we're using our taxpayer money for, those are about the 3 main principles of federal government. Everything else beyond that's unconstitutional. Everything else beyond that, really, government shouldn't be involved in. And everything else beyond that should be defaulted back to the states for the 10th Amendment in order for the concept of federalism so states can do whatever they want to. Social programs, highways, whatever else. The reason I bring it up is because I don't know if you've been following this story with the potential purchase of HBO and Warner Brothers by Netflix. Well, apparently now there's a bidding war.
What's trending today?
Andy, why does this really matter? To me, it matters quite a bit. It's very interesting to me watching these mergers that happen with big conglomerates. And Warner Brothers had the offer from the company in Netflix for, $88, $89 billion, whatever it was, which is a pretty substantial amount, obviously. The reason that it was somewhat concerning was because Warner Brothers, to me, has done some pretty good content. I enjoy a lot of Warner Brothers stuff. They have the Harry Potter series, I believe. Do they have the Lord of the Rings series? I know it's on HBO because I have HBO Max, and this would include, by the way, HBO Max and Warner Brothers. It's all kind of one thing. That's where a lot of movies are generated from. And if Netflix had purchased this, there's a lot of people that were out there concerned about the politics of it. The Obamas are involved on the committee for Netflix or on the board. So therefore, what kind of agenda could we start seeing coming through with Netflix? Netflix has been known to be a little bit more on the woke side. They've had a lot of content and a lot of TV shows and a lot of movies and series that have come out where we kind of scratch our head and wonder if this is really the best for our children and whether we should actually be supporting Netflix in some fashion. But they're still a major conglomerate. And I was a little worried about that. That's where a lot of people have kind of focused on. I focused on the act of, is this really necessary to be merging another major platform into Netflix? And the reason I say that is because we're getting closer and closer to, in my opinion, at least in this type of industry with media and with movies and with TV series and video platforms, that we're getting really close to a monopoly that we need to start considering, hey, should we have these multi-billion and trillion-dollar industries really consuming just about everything? This conversation was had with Disney a while back as well, because Disney was just buying up everything. And now we have the Disney app where they just bought Hulu and they bought the National Geographic and they bought all these other things. So if you go to the Disney Plus app or the streaming service, they have a whole bunch of different options on there of all the different companies that they've purchased as well. Now we have Netflix wanting to purchase the Warner Brothers and HBO Max. Now we see a headline, and I didn't think this was real, but apparently it is. CNBC reporting it now just a little while ago, actually, earlier this morning, that Paramount Plus, and the company of Skydance, now wanting to purchase Warner Brothers, turning it into a bidding war. They're offering $30 per share for the company, which equates to $108.4 billion.
Say what?
That's absolutely insane, man. $108.4 billion up from the $89 to $90 billion that Netflix had offered. And now we're going to see this bidding war for Warner Brothers and for HBO Max. And regardless of which company does it, which I don't really care, I guess at the end of the day, I have all of them, so I could watch any of them however I want to. I have a Netflix. And if you've noticed, it has been ironic. Netflix and HBO Max, they kind of partnered themselves to where you can get a discount if you sign up for both of them under a package. I had the Paramount Plus. I like Paramount Plus because they have South Park. They just purchased the UFC to where we're going to be able to, starting in January. I cannot wait, man. Starting in January, you're going to be able to watch the UFC without purchasing a pay-per-view live on Paramount every Saturday. It's going to be freaking epic, man. I can't wait.
Say
Yeah,
what?
that's an exciting one there. I can't wait. They also have something else too. I think they purchased it. You can watch NFL games on Paramount. You can watch something else. I don't do the sports thing, so I don't know. But they've done a lot. So Paramount has been expanding pretty dramatically. Netflix has been growing substantially. Disney has been expanding dramatically. And now, if this goes through, those are going to be the only three apps. You have your Apple Video or your Apple whatever it is. You have Amazon Movies, but that one's really, you go on there and you rent or you purchase the movie from Amazon Prime. You don't really have your own streaming service to actually of what they're creating. So essentially, you're going to have three major platforms: Paramount and Netflix and Disney, and that's about it. Then you have some few just off-brand ones that are really cheap or don't really do a whole lot. That, to me, is considered monopoly, and I don't like monopolies in government. The few roles government's actually supposed to be focused on, they're kind of failing at. So something to ponder, something to chew on. That's the information that we've seen. I don't like it either way. I like my HBO Max. I like my Warner Brothers movies. I think that they need to stay their own entity, but it does not sound like that's the way it's going to be. All right.
What's trending today?
I spent way too much time on that, but it really did bring out a conversation that I think we need to have of the role of government, what they're supposed to be doing, and what they're focused on, everything else that they're not supposed to be focused on and not actually doing their real job. And the real job is to regulate interstate commerce and to make sure there are no monopolies in certain industries. If we have 3 major players, to me, that is a monopoly. I don't want 3 major players. I want 20 players to where we can pick and choose, because that creates competition. And if you have Netflix and Paramount and whatever else, Netflix, Paramount, and whatever the other one is, Disney, if you have those 3, they essentially can just set the rates for everything else, and we're SOL. We don't have any options. We don't have any competition. We have no way to go get other sources or to go do other things. We just don't. The only option we have is to turn off the TV and unsubscribe to all of it, which I think a lot of people are getting really close to doing. Because if they're going to spend $108 billion, rates are going to go up. And I don't want rates to go up. I want to keep them cheap. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. Big news out of Washington, D.C. today. President Donald Trump making an announcement of what he's going to do for farmers. A roundtable of farmers meeting with Trump in the White House today. And really happy, apparently, with what he's doing, which counters everything the mainstream media has told you for the past 6 months about how farmers, rural community, and agricultural leaders are turning from the Trump administration.
I lost my grandfather and a hard hand in 2002 in a farming accident. And he instilled in me at an early age to love the land, to take pride in what we do.
Was that a machine accident?
It was a machine accident. And it gets in your blood to farm. It's in our blood. Despite what happened, I want my 2-year-old to farm. I want my 4-month-old daughter to have an opportunity. And what you're doing here in DC is working. You have a backbone to stand up to other countries for trade. You're getting things done. Tax provisions. I'll be able to potentially pass on a farm to my children because of you.
All right, that's really encouraging to hear from farmers directly to the Trump administration. If you've not been following it, Andy, I don't really care about what happens to farmers. I'm not a farmer. If you care about the price of food at the grocery store or having food in the grocery store, you probably want to pay attention to some of this news. The media has been really trying to divide the agricultural sector, the rural communities, and the farmers to turn on President Donald Trump, because that's been the base of the Republican Party for a very long time. The rural communities, small town living, the good old boys and gals out there that say, government, stay the hell away from me, I just want to live my life. That's been the bread and butter of the Republican base, and that's what the media is really trying to dig into. If you remember, what was it, a month or 2 ago? They had the story about Donald Trump increasing the amount of beef imports from the country of Brazil. And everybody up in hoopla, I mean, even the ag leaders, according to the media, that this was going to be devastating for them, that it was going to be horrible. We were all going to die because we are importing Brazilian beef.
We're all going to die because of you!
I know. Now, you don't realize that we already import Brazilian beef. We don't do a lot of it, but we did a little bit. It was like 4 million metric tons, 4 billion metric tons, I don't know. And Donald Trump just wanted to double it, because we were trying to help them out, inject some of the U.S. currency into their economy, stabilize their currency by doing so, and then relieving some of the agricultural farmers and the cattle farmers here and cattle farmers and ranchers here in the U.S. that were trying to rebuild herds because of the drought that we've had the past few years, where farmers were selling off more of their cattle than usual. And they were trying to rebuild it by not turning them over to be slaughtered, but yet try to rebuild up the herd to get them back to normal. It was a win-win. They could rebuild a little bit and relieve a little bit of that burden while we supplement by importing a little bit and then injecting that U.S. currency into their economy and stabilizing theirs, which makes everybody happy. And even if we bought every bit of meat from Brazil, every bit that they had, it would take like 4% of the entire demand in the U.S. It was insignificant of how small that was, and that's not even what we were doing. We double our imports from 4 to 6 or 4 to 8 or whatever. I forget the numbers right now offhand. But that's where they really tried to say there was a divide. Obviously, that didn't work. The farmer's still happy. But then we've had the tariff issue. And a large amount of grain, soybeans and corn and wheat and stuff that we produce, especially where I come from here in Kansas, a lot of farmers out here, a lot of farmers listen to this program. They realize, hey, wait a second, China isn't buying the product that we put out, which they're one of the major supporters and purchase roughly 80% of all of our grains going to the nation of China. That's not happening because of the tariffs. So Trump administration making an announcement today saying that there's going to be a relief package for farmers.
So what we're doing is we're taking a relatively small portion of that, and we're going to be giving and providing it to the farmers in economic assistance, and we love our farmers. And as you know, the farmers like me because based on voting trends, you could call it voting trends or anything else, but they're great people. They're the backbone of our country. So we're going to use that money to provide $12 billion in economic assistance to Americans.
All right, so $12 billion of tariff revenue going to the farmers. Now, you can take this a couple ways. When we come back, we'll break down what this actually means. I'm all for this for a one-time deal. If this becomes kind of a regular, I don't know that we necessarily need to do this, but a $12 billion relief package for farmers using the tariff revenue that we've had and giving it to the farmers with the lack of sales and the lack of trade deals that have been had on the agricultural sector. What does this mean long term? What does this mean for new trade deals? We'll get to some of that and more for a Monday here for The Voice of Reason. Lots to get to. Stay here.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of The Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Farmers, $12 billion is a lot of money, Meryl. What do you think? Peanuts for you, though, right? Peanuts. She's a farmer of rice. This relief will provide much-needed certainty to farmers as they get this year's harvest to market and look ahead to next year's crops. And it'll help them continue their efforts to lower food prices for American families. And again, we inherited something that we inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country.
All right, so President Trump speaking at a roundtable earlier today with a whole bunch of farmers talking about a $12 billion relief package for farmers that will break down what does that mean? Is it a socialist handout or is there something else deeper going on here? We'll get to that in just a minute. I want to tell you about my friends over at Americans for Prosperity. I'm telling you, man, the education's coming up. It is time for you to enjoy a real history lesson on this nation and the growth that we've seen, the greatness that we've seen, the average American that has risen to the challenge of their time to fight back anti-Americanism and to make America great all throughout history. And we're doing that as we go into our 250th birthday of this nation. Go to takeonesmallstep.com, takeonesmallstep.com. You can find all the information for you, for your family, for your neighbors, for your friends, for your kids, for your grandkids. It does not matter. Go and check them out. Takeonesmallstep.com with our friends over at Americans for Prosperity. All right, so I can already hear the whispers from the other side of the aisle. Wait a second, Andy, you're not for socialist handouts. What are you talking about giving this $12 billion bailout to the farmers? Here's the deal. And again, this is a prime example of what we've tried to say before is that we are still in a transitional economy. What does that mean? That means that we're transitioning from the way things were done at one point to transitioning to a different way now and making them do things, well, differently. And we're in the middle of that. What was the whole purpose of Donald Trump with the trade deals and the tariffs? Put the tariffs onto a country. That way the country comes to the table. We renegotiate a better trade deal. Then we lower the tariffs and then everybody benefits because of how great the trade deals are. That's been the whole plan, and it's worked for a lot of different countries. One country that's been kind of a stickler, and it's been because they've tried to put up a wall and try and battle with us and play chicken. It's also been our own side and people that have major severe TDS that have tried to challenge it in court and say you're not allowed to do it in the first place, have kind of taken away some of the leverage that Trump had to really bring China to the table. And let's be honest, that China is about as trustworthy as Russia, where they say they're going to do something and they don't really do it. China is a major purchaser of much of our agricultural grain. Again, wheat or corn or soybeans or whatever else. And they're not buying it right now. And we have the tariffs on them to try and bring them to the table to where they will start buying it again. And they pledged they were going to buy a whole bunch. They haven't purchased a whole bunch of it yet. They did some. We'll see if they purchase the rest of it. But because of that, in this transitional phase, we've brought in a lot of money from the tariffs. And Trump says, cool, I want to take care of the farmers. They got me in office. They want the government off their back. They want better opportunities for the farmers to survive in that agricultural industry that always... And again, I don't know how you survive as a farmer out there when every aspect of your livelihood is out of your hands, from the weather that could damage your crops to the droughts with the lack of water to the price of grain to the price of the equipment that you need to the price of gasoline and diesel to then the amount that you actually get when you take it to the co-op and you sell it. All of it's out of your hands. And you're like, yeah, we're just going to survive and do it another year. Trump wants to take care of you. And he says during this transitional phase, the revenue that we've gotten in from the tariffs, that if we didn't have the tariffs, then you would have had a better trade deal at the time, but we're trying to get this better trade deal in the first place so you have more markets to sell to. We'll give you some of that back with $12 billion, and then by the time the trade deals do come into play, you don't need us to give you a bailout. You'll make better trade deals, and everybody will be happy. It makes sense, right? I mean, that's the whole purpose of what Donald Trump does. But boy, oh boy, the other side. They're trying desperately to try and say this is nothing more than a socialist handout. Republicans don't like socialism. What are you talking about? And by the way, we wouldn't have to do this if you wouldn't put the tariffs on. we've already seen more markets open up. I don't know what they're talking about. Australia, we expanded our agricultural trade. The UK, we've expanded our agricultural trade. We're selling food, meat, and grains to the UK that we've never done before. I'd say it's working. We're just waiting for the rest to come through.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. The Hoosier Media Network continues to grow every single day with new shows, new content, and new information as we continue to fight the narrative against the mainstream and give you the alternative view of the world. The Hoosier Media Network is home to great TV, radio, and podcasting programs on any topic of any interest. From politics and current events to religion and spirituality, holistic and alternative health, entertainment, motivational speakers, and so much more. And with the Hoosier Media Network, you can enjoy more content from the Voice of Reason like this. With the vaccinations, with the quote-unquote health pandemic, now that the emergency response is going to be lifted by the end of this month, with the continued forcefulness of vaccines that they've done, are we at the stage in society that you thought that we would be in at this time?
That's a good question. I haven't had that one. I thought we were going to be further along with disclosure of the data and acknowledgement by the government of what's happened here. Instead, what we've seen is the ongoing suppression of information, including public health information that doctors could use to help start protecting their patients from the long-range consequences of these if they only had the data. So what has happened is some really interesting information has popped in the UK that demonstrated that their lead public health officer has really weaponized fear and manipulated the people. That's creating a lot of blowback over there. And we still have just a ton of denialism, cover-ups and everything else going on. They just don't seem to want to come clean.
That is very true. Now, here's the big question. Is it starting to get leaked out? Obviously, we heard the last couple days that the other side losing their minds over, for example, the January 6th videos coming out. There's now an ethics complaint being filed against House Speaker Kevin McCarthy because the video was released to the public for our personal knowledge and understanding and information. Is the truth beginning to come out on this issue as well? Not only with, obviously, we see the origins of COVID coming out, which they're trying to push back from, realizing that it wasn't Ozzy Osbourne biting the head off a bat over in China to spread this virus, but it was actually the Wuhan lab that was spreading this. So that's starting to happen. Will the truth come out on this vaccine stuff too?
Yeah, the backstory on that was that this appears to have been a retaliation because the Chinese government was aligning itself with Russia, and so we decided that this was the right time to really emphasize the role of the CCP and the Wuhan Institute of Virology, while obscuring the fact that the tech was transferred to them by EcoHealth Alliance, and the money to do the job was provided by the U.S. government. So that's an interesting twist. Is the information coming out about the jabs? Somewhat. There's still just a ton of denialism, pushback. The whole propaganda apparatus is still absolutely in gear. The fifth-gen warfare psyops is still in progress. And we did have a fascinating article the other day that issued in Newsweek. This is from my friend Scott Atlas. America's COVID response was based on lies, published on the 6th in Newsweek. This is one of the most frank acknowledgments of what's happened that I've seen. But it focuses mostly on the lockdowns, and I think there's growing universal agreement that the lockdowns were a huge government overstep. Whatever you think about the jabs, whether they're safe or effective or not, pretty much there's universal acknowledgement that the lockdowns caused enormous damage economically, excess loss of life, destroying businesses, destroying people's income and ability to make a living, and for absolutely no purpose at all.
Listen to all these programs and so much more as we try to bring back knowledge, wisdom, and truth back into the world. And we do that right here with the Hooser Media Network, the future of media.
Truth, reason, and common sense. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Our deficits are way down because of tariffs. I guess because of the election, because without the election you wouldn't have tariffs. You'd be sitting here losing your shirt. But we're taking in billions. We're really taking in trillions of dollars, if you think about it, Scott, because the real numbers, when you think of all the money being poured into the country for new auto plants and all of the other things, AI.
All right, so President Trump again that roundtable today with a round of farmers. Boy, we called that one. Right as we went into the break, I was scrolling through some of the headlines and my social media popped up. Literally, as we just said, that while Donald Trump is trying to cover the farmers until the trade deals are completed so that way they have better trade deals for farmers to be able to sell agricultural product, which is the whole purpose of this whole $12 billion relief package right now. It's not socialism. It's not just redistributing wealth. It's giving them what they would have made during a trade deal if we had not tried to make better trade deals and put tariffs on them. Or just giving them some of that tariff money. That kind of makes sense to me. It's not socialism. Had somebody on social media comment literally as we went into that. I don't know if they were listening or not. We're going to pretend to be surprised that tariffs bankrupted farmers just like in the first term, then give Trump praise for giving farmers a bailout. By the way, MAGA, that's basically welfare for farmers, so I guess we like socialism now. No, that's not what's happening here. Well, we called that one, boy. Boy, that's insane. That's the response every time, man. Anything they can do to try and knock Donald Trump down a couple of pegs. Talk about some of this and more. Let's get into what's trending.
What's trending today?
We have that. Also, obviously, Congress starting to work on some health care reforms. Apparently, the vote coming up this week, I believe, maybe next week, on the Democrats' plan to refund the subsidies for insurance companies, and then what kind of reforms we could see from the Republican side of the legislature. To talk about all this and a heck of a lot more from American Commitment, happy to have back on the program Mr. Phil Kerpen. Phil, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Andy. How are you?
Hey, doing great. Before we get to the healthcare, I got to get your thoughts on this. Is this socialism, just bailing out farmers because we've messed with them so badly, or is it, hey, we're in the middle of a transition, we're getting better trade deals, you have more markets to sell to than you have before, we're just going to help you along until the trade deals are finished?
Yeah, I got to reserve judgment until I see how it all shakes out, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe it'll work the way the president wants and the way you hope, and it'll be very temporary, unless, better relationship going forward with more market access and everything like that, and it'll all work out perfectly. On the other hand, maybe it'll become a permanent handout, and you'll have more people dependent on government and wealth redistribution. So I give it an incomplete. I could see it going either way, to be honest, but I certainly hope your optimistic take ends up being correct.
Yeah, well, I really hope, and I would not be for, like you said, just making it a permanent thing to bail out and redistribute wealth. That's not what we're about. But during the quote-unquote, I hate using that term because people get so angry and annoyed by it, the transitional phase, but we're literally right in the middle of it. And it seems like we've almost obstructed ourselves, right? We bring all these countries to the table to renegotiate trade deals, and then we have our own country, some on the other side of the aisle, that try to drag us through the mud on these court deals to stop it from happening, essentially taking away the leverage that we have.
Yeah, well, the left is very confused because anything that Trump is for, they're against, even if it means reversing everything they believed in before yesterday. And so they get twisted in knots, and so you get people like your caller there who probably never objected to wealth redistribution ever before right now, who now says, oh, this is terrible because it's wealth redistribution.
That's right.
And you get a lot of that kind of thing happening. And, this is the... this is kind of the same story with tariffs, right? I mean, the left generally likes them. We generally are skeptical of them. We got a president who says, I want to use it as a tool to get better trade deals with the rest of the world. And now they say, oh, no, we hate tariffs always, even though, the day before yesterday they loved them. So this is what we deal with.
It's the typical game we have to play in D.C. Let's go to healthcare for just a moment. I believe it's coming up this week. I could be wrong on that, but I believe Democrats are planning their vote on trying to implement subsidies for the Obamacare, which is what we got rid of in the One Big Beautiful Bill, why we had a government shutdown for an entire month. They want this permanentized Medicaid expansion. They essentially want Medicare for all. They want this government expansion on healthcare. Obviously, I don't see the vote actually passing in any fashion, but are they going to continue to try to, is this the hill they're willing to die on as a Democrat Party?
I think it's a little crazy what they're doing because they are, just as they did throughout the shutdown, they're saying what we want is an extension of the supersized COVID-era Obamacare subsidies with no reforms and with no changes, with no income limits. Just extend them the way they were during the COVID emergency for 3 more years is their most recent proposal. And you have to kind of scratch your head because they were a disaster. I mean, the fraud, the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, just put out this report. All right? They said in 2024 we signed up 4 fake accounts with no Social Security numbers or fake ones and no proof of citizenship. All 4 got approved and the subsidy money flowed. So then in 2025 we tried 20 fake sign-ups. 18 of them were approved. 1 of them, the broker stopped getting back to us, so it was sort of incomplete. And one out of 20 actually got rejected. And then they did some other analysis. Some of these numbers, the last year they have totally complete data that they can sort of check against IRS numbers was for 2023. They said, well, in 2023, 32% of all the people for whom subsidies were paid out did not have a Social Security number that reconciled with their IRS tax returns. By the way, you're required to file a tax return if you claim the Obamacare credit, but 32% could not reconcile. 66,000 Social Security numbers were used by more than one person to get Obamacare. So that kind of should tell you how insane the amount of fraud is. And they found one Social Security number was being used by 71 people. So this is the kind of thing that's going on. And if you want to say, oh, well, we're going to clean it up, here's our whole anti-fraud strategy, there are going to be minimum payments, there are going to be income limits, and we want to extend it, I probably would disagree with you because I have a different approach on healthcare, but I could kind of get it and understand that point of view. And that is what, a few moderate Republicans are saying. But the Democrats are not even saying that, Andy. They're saying, you know what, change nothing. Yeah. They hear all those fraud numbers. They say, that's great. Okay, 3 more years of that.
Yeah.
Kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is unbelievable. It's not going to happen, but that's what they're pushing for. Essentially, the universal health care, that's their end goal, and they just want to take another notch in that belt moving towards that. So let's talk about Republican alternatives. We've heard that Republicans now are working on multiple different bills to create multiple different options for where health care could go. Beyond that, you mentioned that you're not for what the Democrats have been trying to do, obviously. What should health care look like? Could we essentially see, if we move down this road, we do what Trump says, create more insurance companies and competition in the private market, we stop funding insurance companies through subsidies, we create more of a private sector, could we essentially see the end of Obamacare and private insurance come back?
Well, my view is that you keep Obamacare for the people who want it, but you open up a lot more choices for other people, and so that way you can't be accused of taking something away from people. But, most people, if you deregulate and you give them a bunch of choices, other types of arrangements, for most people, especially people who are low utilizers of health care, there's going to be something else that's cheaper and better, and so they're not going to want to stick with the Obamacare plans. And so I really think the president's on the right track. We've got to have price transparency, which was a big push in his first term. We've got to have, more options than just the Obamacare plans. If somebody wants to do a direct primary care subscription with a doctor and have a catastrophic policy that's basically an old-style major medical or indemnity policy if, God forbid, an emergency or a surgery or a hospitalization happens. And we should allow all kinds of different arrangements, and we should let people save the money that they don't spend for use in a future year. I think that's a really important principle instead of having it all just go to an insurance company. So a lot more choices of insurance, a lot more choices of non-insurance ways of paying for health care I think would be really good. And the other thing that I really hope is part of this that I think is absolutely critical is we've got to have deregulation of the supply side of the medical market. And what I mean by that is we've got to get rid of the ban on physician-owned hospitals. I would preempt all of the state certificate of need laws. I would get rid of the payment policies at the federal level that say that if a hospital system buys a doctor's office, now they're going to pay more for the same visit to that office than they did before. Because what we've seen in healthcare under these policies is just everything's getting consolidated, getting gobbled up into these giant health systems and into these giant insurance companies. Independent physicians groups are going out of business or being gobbled up left and right. And I think the quality of care suffers and the choices and competition suffer. So I would focus on kind of deregulating the supply side also. Let's get a lot more supply. Let's make it very easy to open a new clinic, open a new doctor's practice, open a new hospital, and let's have a lot more supply of medical services come in, which is going to push down prices and have much more competition than the trend we've had under Obamacare, which is everything getting consolidated into these monstrous health system and insurance company bureaucracies.
Yeah, it's a really great point. I'm glad you mentioned it. I was not aware of even some of the regulations you mentioned that we have right now that to me would be common sense of why we'd want to get rid of those in the first place, because some of those seem nuts. I did not realize that essentially doctors could not own hospitals, essentially, that you had to have all this.
That was in Obamacare. They banned physician-owned hospitals.
That's wild. So crazy.
You know what they said? They said, oh, no, it's a conflict of interest because, physicians will want. And it's like, well, you don't think the health systems have conflicts of interest? They never refer people out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is. We're talking with Phil Kerpen, American Commitment. You can see American Commitment on their website, all the great stuff that they're working on. At the same time, have we seen, and obviously this is a reminder for maybe the younger generation that doesn't quite remember when Obamacare came in the first place. They weren't paying attention to politics at that time. Since the implementation of Obamacare, we've seen, like you mentioned, the consolidation into larger hospitals, the killing off of small clinics across the country. Now we have this where it's all these big ones, and they're asking for bailouts because now they're struggling financially because everything's consolidated into one place.
Yeah, look, 60% of physicians' practices in this country are corporate-owned now. It was like 15 or 20% before Obamacare, and it's rising fast. And I think that I think it's actually a huge political opportunity for Republicans as they say, look, we're going to fix all these drivers of consolidation. You know, the number one employer of physicians in the country now is United Healthcare, an insurance company. I mean, this is not a good trend, in my opinion. And the Democrats and the liberals, they're like schizophrenic on this issue of these massive insurance companies. I mean, they literally cheered the cold-blooded murder of the president, of the CEO of United Health, right? Yeah. But their number one priority is giving massive subsidies to the same company. It's very strange.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Phil, hang on the line. We got to take a break here. When we come back, I want to talk about that. The insurance company as a whole, the insurance industry as a whole, why we see prices fluctuate so much for services if you have insurance versus you don't have insurance. And is the entire thing a scam and we just need to hit a major reset button? We'll cover some of that when we come back around the corner. It's your Monday. It's the Voice of Reason. Lots more to get to. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Big government is broken. Every year, politicians fail to pass a budget as the deficit continues to grow. Every month, unelected bureaucrats pile on rules no one voted for, strangling our economy. And every day, DC's broken system gets in the way of the American dream. Washington isn't working, and the people pay the price. At Americans for Prosperity, we believe it's time to fix the system. Now, join the movement to make government work.
As you know, I'm always looking for a good snack, but it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives. But now that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. I promise you'll be addicted. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
Too much on your...
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy The Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
The last few days, Sean, have been surreal. I mean, honestly. Many of my Democratic colleagues, some Republicans, they've been acting like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. I mean, they're just hysterical. They've clearly exceeded the limits of their meds. They're running around. They call the president a warmonger. They call the secretary of war a war criminal. They're speaking directly to our folks in the military, telling them to disobey orders. they're out of control.
So Senator Kennedy, I always enjoy his comments, especially when he's on Fox News. Great stuff there. And yet they are going crazy. And as we mentioned, the hypocrisy that insurance companies are evil. We need to kill or unalive, for those on the video stream, so that way we don't get blocked. We need to unalive the heads of the insurance companies because they're so bad. But we need to subsidize them through Obamacare and through the government with crony capitalism and not let them function and survive in the private sector, but then bring them in and give them money through the taxpayers for your healthcare. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Kind of crazy. We're hanging out with Phil Kerpen, American Commitment. You can go and check out their information. Phil, as I teased at the end of that last segment, the difference in price on healthcare products, on services, if you have versus if you do not have health insurance is absolutely mind-boggling. If I break my arm and go to a clinic and get it patched up and I get a cast on and I walk out of there and I say I don't have any insurance, they charge me $100. If we have insurance, they charge me $10,000 and I pay a $5,000 deductible and then they cover 80% of it. That doesn't make any sense to me, Phil.
Well, one of the biggest problems is that a lot of times you go in and you say, "What does this cost?" And they what they say? They say, "I don't know. I have no idea." And you say, "Well, how do I decide whether I want the procedure or not?" Because the vast majority of medical procedures are elective in the sense that you don't need it or you don't need it necessarily right away. You do have time to shop around, and so for the vast majority of procedures which are non-emergent, you could search, you could comparison shop, but for the most part, it's very hard to get prices, and you're correct. There's a huge difference typically between the insured rate and the cash price. We actually, I do a newsletter every day with Steve Moore and Art Laffer and Steve Forbes called Unleash Prosperity Hotline. If people don't get it, it's totally free. Go to unleashprosperity.com and you can sign up for that. We actually ran something in there today that compared prices. We got it from Cynthia Fisher, whose group, Patient Rights Advocate, is probably the leading group pushing for transparency in medical pricing. And you could see, we compared, they compared, we put the chart that they put together in for a few things. I think the MRI prices ran from $300 to $7,500 in the same market. Wow. So, I mean, and there were a couple other things on the chart you can look at it that were similarly, insanely huge range of costs. One of the things I would really like to see in a healthcare reform bill is you ought to have the right to pay the cash price and have it apply towards your deductible and your out-of-pocket cap so that you can actually have negotiating power as a consumer instead of just it being run through your insurance without you even having a conversation about it, and then it's some crazy price.
Yeah. I like that idea. I like that idea to try and limit some of that power that they have. I also like to say that, I think insurance should be used, like you said, for just maybe the severe issues. And if you just go to the clinic, you go do your checkups, you don't need the insurance for everything. We promote the direct primary care providers. We essentially hit the reset button on the insurance industry, and it's only used if you're in the ICU for a month and you need it because you're going to get a $100,000 bill from everything that you've had. Other than that, you really shouldn't have to use insurance for everything. And I think they have way too much power and control because now healthcare is dictated based on the type of insurance you have, based on how much your deductibles are, based on how much that you're actually being covered for. And to me, that's not. They always talk about healthcare is a human right. I agree on that sense, but that's not how you run it.
Yeah, it's an extraordinarily ineffective, inefficient system. And one of the reasons we've seen these massive increases in costs also is that part of Obamacare is this medical loss ratio regulation where they say, well, the way that we're going to force insurance rates down is we're going to require 80% of every premium dollar to be spent on claims, is basically what they do. And so, but the problem with that is, the insurance company, now you want the claims to be for as much money as possible because the only way you make more money is if you pay more out, right? So it messes up the incentives that otherwise would have existed, and that's one of the reasons I think the costs have been so out of control. So a lot of it is the unintended effect of regulations and interventions. And my whole view has been, look, if you want this hyper-regulated Obamacare-type market, fine, we can have that. But let's also have an unregulated market where people can get other types of products that might fit their needs better. And I agree with you. If it were allowed, I think it would be a very popular combination to have a direct primary care subscription with, you don't pay, you go as much as you want or whatever, 3 times a month, whatever it is.
I'm all about it, Phil. Yeah. Yeah, I hate to
It's
catch up.
catastrophic policy if something terrible happens.
That's
If
exactly
goes up,
it.
That's very attractive.
That's exactly it. Phil, we're out of time, my friend. We got to do it again soon. We're back after here. Later on, we'll see you on the radio. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can find